It's a mixture. I say it both. You got butterflies because it's opening night. You want to make sure your guys perform the right way, but at the same time, you're excited to try to see all the hard work that they put in and see how successful they'll be. So, absolutely, absolutely. You know, when you first get into coaching, you don't necessarily know if you're going to be a head coach. You just want to help young men, and so the goal's always been the same. Your title changes, and so being able, like I said, to help them reach their goals and see the hard work they put in. And just like I said, just 5 minutes ago, seeing those guys talk up here and seeing how well-spoken they are, how excited they are about the season, how they speak on the family and environment we've tried to preach from day one is awesome. So it's good. Excited about opening night.
First glance and look at this roster and talking to this guy, he seems to be bigger.
Yeah.
So when you get right down to it, the right what you put on the floor is no substitute for Anderson.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? We tried to get size, and we know that, with the addition of different teams coming to the league, that obviously, size would give us a competitive advantage day in and day out. And so we tried to, obviously Osai, having a relationship with him, knowing, his energy level, knowing defensively what he would bring to the table. It was trying to necessarily have other individuals to kind of complement him, and also Bryce Workman that I knew could score and had watched film, prior to taking the job. Just trying to have other bigs on the roster that complement those two, along with our guard play. And so, like I said, as of late, they've been really good. Probably collective group of 4 to 5, but we'll see. Like I said, when people get in the stands, a lot of times those roles will change. So.
You've got a lot of roster decisions to make. Who's going to stay, who's going to go, who's the transfer portal. That's another thing added to the mix. Would you see getting somebody like Olsen versus where the Boozer twins may or may not have been in their development this year, next year, or whatever? Do you kind of feel like that's probably for now a better trade-off for you, having Olsen with his experience and what have you, and again not knowing how quickly the Boozer twins were going to develop?
Right. And so obviously, the Boozer twins, two great young men, unbelievable fathers, and was sad to see them go from the standpoint of what they brought, just not from a basketball standpoint, but from a cultural standpoint as well, and knowing how much they love this university. But when they decided to, move closer to home and have more support for their family, it was a hard decision for us. But at the same time, Osai was here with those guys. And we knew, Osai brings a lot to the table with his experience, but also with his energy level and obviously his natural gifts that he has. And so for us, it wasn't necessarily Osai's decision, but a guy like Rob Brown's decision from New Mexico, with 7 points and 4 rebounds, averaging that, and having the opportunity to recruit him in once those guys made their departure, which has been a blessing for us.
Which came first? OC coming here, or the Boozers, kind of knowing the Boozers were?
Yeah, so Osai, he was necessarily being recruited along to play with the Boozers. And so the Boozers, if I'm not mistaken, they were actually here when Osai was here as well. And so once they left, we then had to have the opportunity to try to hit transfer portal, which it's a tricky beast. And so you look at it from the standpoint of, yeah, you can make some upgrades very quickly, but at the same time, a lot of those young men are making those decisions to go in the transfer portal because they've had either, a lack of experience playing or some bad experiences that caused them to move on. And so for us, like I said, Rob Brown, he's been a blessing. He averaged 7 and 4 at New Mexico, and he brings a wealth of experience and energy and just overall character to our program.
Jordan, both sides plays hard.
Does.
Hard. Is that rubbed off? Have you seen that? Does it work like that?
You know what? So we've had 2 close scrimmages, right? 2 close scrimmages, and from both opposing coaches, they said, you know what? It's crazy how physical your guys are, how physical your front court is. And, to hear that, it lets us know that everything that we're doing in practice day in and day out is rubbing off on our guys. And the energy level, I think, you can see it. When you talk to Osai, when you see Kevin Young, when you see Tyrese, you can see the type of energy level they have, the type of excitement they have. And so for me, part of the butterflies for opening night is helping those guys and wanting them to have success, wanting them to have the wins that you spoke on, and just letting them know that all the hard work that you put in is now going to benefit you on the other end. And so, like I said, it's been a blessing to have those guys, and especially Osai with his energy level.
You like the fact you're 10th?
I love it. I love it. You know what? I actually told Scott Manzi I was upset that we weren't last. And he said, he goes, really? I said, yeah. And so, no, I love it. You know what? People don't have certain expectations for us, and that's fine. But, you know, our athletic director, Alex Ricker Gilbert, he has a certain level of expectations he has for all of our programs, and he wants us to excel. And so, you know, we talk about pressure, but what is pressure? Pressure is the pressure that you put on yourself. It's peer pressure. It's wanting to perform and do well for your family, and do well for yourself. And so, like I said, we accept that we're number 10. That's a preseason ranking, and we know that's not where we'll necessarily finish at.
By the way, was that writers or coaches poll?
I believe it was the both. Yeah, right. Yeah. They were pretty aligned, right? Yeah.
So both had you 10?
Yeah, pretty aligned. Yeah. No, we fired. No, we're fired. Trust me. Like I said, you look at our roster, you don't know how they gonna mesh well together. I'm expecting us to have, you know, some ups and downs, especially early, but in late season, I expect it to be pretty dangerous. So.
What is having a normal off-season conditioning program and a normal preseason do, especially first-year coach? I mean, I can only imagine how tough it would have been if your first year with the program had been last year. What are the advantages for everybody in having things got back?
So, you know, you talk about commitment to the program and commitment to success, right? And a lot of times people can use necessarily what you have from a building standpoint or facility standpoint. Well, the commitment that we got from day one from our administration, we had our own strength coach, Pat Lewis. He's been here from day one. And so, and we've also had 2 summer sessions, whereas they've had 1 summer session before. And so when we matched up the last 2 weekends, it was a significant difference in our guys' size and their strength compared to the programs that were in higher levels than ours. And so, saying that, you look at Tyrese and look at his body transformation. He's lost 15 pounds. That's why he said he feels like he's in the best shape he's ever been in. Bryce Workman has lost 18 pounds. We had a freshman, Isaiah Brody, came in 175 pounds, and now he weighs 210. And so he's a 6'7" wing. If he was 210, he probably wouldn't be here. And so having that advantage for us has been huge.
You had a lot of work to do, obviously, overall. You talked about the family atmosphere, the culture, but also strength and conditioning on court. Installing all of that, how did you prioritize what you wanted to get done?
The biggest thing that we prioritized was just trying to get to their mental. Oftentimes, if you're sitting by our bench, you'll always hear me tell our guys, hey, control your mental. And a lot of that is trying to train their mental to become winners and not necessarily think about the losing habits and train those habits. If they don't make a play, for instance, Tyrese, a lot of times he'll miss a corner 3. He'll put his head down right away. Well, everybody else on your team, especially the other 4 guys playing with you, they see that and they feed off that. And so it's about coaching those daily habits. I mean, you definitely want them to be the best version of basketball players they can be, but ultimately you want them to be able to be successful in life. You want them to be able to run a company one day. You want them to be able to be great fathers and great husbands. And so if your child looks at you and you've had a rough day at work and he puts his head down, then ultimately, he knows that, failure's an option. Well, even though you have a bad day, I tell our guys all the time, your son's going to look at you or your daughter's going to look at you and they have to think that everything's fine, because the world's always going to change around you, but you always got to stay the same. And so building those habits daily, like I said, hopefully, it might not be beneficial on the front end with wins and losses, but on the back end, we definitely know it'd be beneficial.
Been here about 7 months, getting plugged into the community, meeting coaches here and stuff.
Yeah.
How has that been? Has it felt like a whirlwind? I talked to a couple of kids at high school basketball media day who were committed to JU, and they're pumped about playing for their hometown team.
Absolutely.
You just didn't have that in the past.
You know what? So it's a blessing for me to have Vince Martin on our staff. And so being that he already had kind of a connection with, the city of Jacksonville and also with the high school scene here in the city, it's been a blessing. And so, actually when I leave here, I'll be doing some more stops. But, JU had a rich history in the past, and so how do you connect the rich history in the past with the future, and being able to have those young men see that we can get back to where we've been in the past. And so in our recruiting talks, in our recruiting presentations, that's all we speak on, is that something has been done here before, which means that success can happen. Success can, whether it's now or in the future, it depends on you and the level of commitment you have to working on the floor, but also level of working that you want to put in to make sure that this is a national brand, not just a local brand. And so, like I said, great people in the Jacksonville area, but also unbelievable coaches in the Jacksonville area. And so that's helped with our transition.
Have you found that excitement in talking to players and coaches and their families since you've been here?
You know what they were actually very reluctant at first, and a lot of that reluctance, a lot of that hesitation came because they'd never been on campus. And one of the young men we recruited, he actually came on campus, and his mother goes, "Oh my goodness, I didn't even know this was back here. Campus is beautiful." And part of that was the sale. Sitting down with Alex, having the opportunity to see campus on my interview, I was like, "Wow, this is amazing. You wouldn't know that this lies me on these gates." And so, a lot of it is just trying to give them a presentation up front and be able to see what we're truly building behind these gates.
3 years ago, Bryce Workman's range was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he made some strides. And last year, late in the season, he had like the single highest number of points in one game in the Sun. Even from then, how far has he come as far as expanding his offensive game?
So first, I'll talk about Bryce as a person. And so one of his professors hit me 2 months ago. She called me and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you. Do you have time?" I said, "Yeah." I get worried. I'm thinking about Bryce Workman. And she says, the transition that Bryce Workman has made as a person is night and day. And I said, "What do you mean?" She says, he's making eye contact. He's talking in full sentences. He has confidence level about him. And for me, that meant the world to me. And so now when you see Bryce Workman on November 9th, our opening night, you'll know that it's a direct correlation. The more confident he is as a person, as a man, the more confident he has been as a player. And so for us, like I said, he's a guy which I wish he was up there with those other three guys. We lean on very beneficial. He's very beneficial to our success going forward. But like I said, love Bryce to death, man. And the time and the effort that he's put in this offseason to transform his body and also take his range to a different level from the three-point line especially. You'll see him shoot some threes this year. He'll be very confident now. I don't know percentage-wise if it'll be where it needs to be, but he will shoot some threes. And he does have that freedom because we believe in him.